Jordan. Today we're getting ready for Christmas and singing one of my favorite Christmas songs. Now, I know Christmas music can be really fun and joyful because it is a fun and joyful time. But the song we're singing this morning is about the night when Jesus was born. So I really want you to get into a place of worship and think about how holy and how special that night was when Jesus came to be a Savior for all of us. Are you ready to sing? Silent night. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. You know these words, I want to encourage you to close your eyes and really make this a moment of worship. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
Hey boys and girls, welcome to RiverZone. I'm the RiverZone bear. Have you guys ever seen a bear so big in your life? Well, today we're starting a new lesson, so we wanted a new introduction with the new RiverZone bear. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Chad now. Bye! Hey guys, have you guys seen a bear that big before ever? It's like as big as me. Well, welcome to RiverZone. I thought you guys would like that. I mean, I did Mickey Mouse, Batman voice, and Fortnite dances in the first video, and I haven't done much since in terms of silliness, so I wanted to kind of change it up for you guys. All right, so today we are starting a new lesson, and a new series of lessons, I should say, and they are called Unfrozen. No, I am not going to start singing Let It Go, because we're going to actually be talking about maybe receiving something, not letting something go, right? Okay, so we're going to start our lesson in Isaiah. Does anybody know how to spell Isaiah? Can you spell it for me right now? Parents, help your kids see if they got it right. Who can spell Isaiah? It is pretty difficult, not going to lie. You're going to get the ding in the spelling bee, I bet you. The ding is when I think you get it wrong. Maybe it's if you get it right. I don't remember. But Isaiah, which is I-S-A-I-A-H. The H is, of course, silent. It's not Isaiah like that, right? So we're going to be starting in Isaiah, okay? So in Isaiah, he has a verse that I think is pretty cool, so I'm just going to read it. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, how many of you guys know what happened when Jesus was born with some dudes that worked as shepherds? Do you guys know? Did they see a great light? Were they maybe in a valley? Yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? That Isaiah prophesied, which, what is a prophet? Somebody who says something that's going to happen, right? So Isaiah prophesied, and it actually happened when it came to Jesus. Well, do you know what Jesus said about himself? He said, I am the light of the world. The light of the world. So Jesus is the light of the world. How many of you guys have already seen Christmas lights? That's like one of the coolest things, right? Have you guys seen Christmas lights? Raise your hands. Yeah? Well, why do we put up Christmas lights at Christmas? Is it maybe because it's when the light of the world came in? You see, there's a lot of things around us during this holiday season that you can just kind of enjoy and not really think too much about, but a lot of them actually have pretty deep meaning. So Jesus is the light of the world. I want you guys to go out this week and see how many candles or lights you can see in people's homes and their windows, maybe around your neighborhood. And I want you to think about Jesus being the light that came into the world as you see those lights of the Christmas trees in the houses. How many of you guys have already gotten your Christmas tree? Yeah? Have you got lights on the Christmas tree? There is some pretty cool technology these days with Christmas tree lights that I just saw recently. My wife showed me. It is pretty awesome. Christmas is like banging this year, I think, because everybody's going to go all out with the stuff in their house, right? Because it's harder to leave and go outside this year. Okay, so what else did Isaiah say about Jesus? Let's see. Jesus said he's the light of the world. Isaiah said that for the people walking in darkness, we have seen a great light. So, it's interesting, right? Because the shepherds saw this stuff at night, and so it was literally dark. But I think things can have more than one meaning, right? So it's not just that if you're in a dark room and you turn a light on, that's Jesus, right? I think it's not actually the physical presence of Jesus, is not the electricity that comes through these bulbs up here, right? Or in the Christmas trees or wherever they may be. It's more that we as a people, right, without God, without the light of the world, we live in darkness. Darkness itself is simply an absence of light, is it not? So you don't turn the darkness on, right? When you turn the light off, you're really just removing the light. Darkness is the natural state of anywhere that doesn't have light. So with the light, we actually can start to see, we can start to live, we can start to move and have life and have purpose. That's true physically sometimes, right? You can't really see and move and do stuff in the dark. Not so easily. You need some light, right? And so Jesus is the light of the world. God is the light of the world. And I think it's important to recognize that without him, there is no light. There is no life. But what else did Isaiah say about Jesus? It said also that for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, try to remember these, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. I can't really do 4 like this. I can do this, but this is a little bit harder. Prince of Peace, and the increase of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. Wow. So Isaiah is prophesying here of somebody who's going to actually rule, right? And it's interesting that it kind of falls in line, right, with what I think we've talked about before, where the disciples thought that Jesus was going to actually overtake the Romans. But God was talking about something much bigger than just ruling on this earth, right? So Jesus was called many things. He was called, what was the first one? Do you guys remember? What was it? It was Wonderful Counselor, right? Wonderful Counselor. For the verse again, it says, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. All right, so the first one is Wonderful Counselor. What is a counselor? Do you guys know? Do you guys maybe have that in your schools? Maybe not at elementary school, right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But a counselor is somebody that gives counsel, right? So what is counsel? What is that? What is it to give counsel? What is it to be a counselor? Well, a counselor is somebody that actually helps you make the right decisions, right? He helps you, he guides you. He's with you to kind of show you where to go. It's somebody that tells you, you know, hey, if you're going to go down this path, it's going to end up this way, right? So somebody who kind of helps you. What about mighty God? That one's pretty easy, right? Do we really need to spend much time on that? He is a mighty God. Everlasting Father. Oh, wow. Everlasting Father. It kind of reminds us that we're his children, right? And that Jesus' love for us will never end because he's everlasting. He's an everlasting Father. And then he's the Prince of Peace. The Prince of Peace. Wow, that's pretty interesting, right? Because the government, you know, is mainly there to kind of, at least in the U.S., right? The government is by the people, for the people, to protect you and your rights, mainly, right? So he's the Prince of Peace. So he makes peace wherever he rules. And that includes in our hearts, right? So Jesus has a lot of names, even in this own verse. And I think it's interesting that he has so many names because he is so many things. But as we start this unfrozen lesson, I think the key thing to remember is, one, without the light of the world, we are in darkness. You know what else actually works with that is heat and cold, right? So if something's dark, what else is it usually? It's cold, right? It's cold. If something has light, what is it usually? More often than not. Not during this season. It's cold outside, y'all. It's hot, usually. If you have a lot of sun, it's going to be hotter than if you don't have any, right? So when we talk about light and darkness, you can see that Jesus is the light that comes to melt away the darkness or melt away the frozen hearts that we may have, right? In the absence of heat, there is cold. So we're going to learn a lot more about this today or this month, and we're going to dive in to becoming unfrozen. Okay, so don't let us go, let us go. I'm not going to sing that much because I'm not like Miss Jordan. I can't really sing. Okay, well, thanks, boys and girls. We'll catch you next time. Bye.